Yo, this is it. I'm Mr. Faye, and you're listening to Attacking the Beats on IllMuzik.com. So by now you've seen the site and how everything has changed around and stuff. And so far I've got some positive feedback from you guys, so that's good. I'm glad you guys like it, and so we'll keep it at that. And I think the thing looks banging. I think it looks banging because it's nice and slick and all that stuff. There's a few things need to be adjusted, but overall I'm really happy with it. And it seems to be that you guys are too. So anyway, we got 5 beats this week, and we'll jump right into it. I'll shut up and we'll get to the first beat, which is by IllMuzik, called Smooth Chop. Let's check it out. Alright. Okay, so that was IllMuzik with Smooth Chop. Years ago, I heard this track where it was a hip-hop track, really underground stuff, and it started off like this beat, it was just just sounded like, I would say gutter, and it's, it came in with this really, laid-back drum track and all that stuff, and and that was what I was expecting with this one, but you surprised me. It came in, it was actually a nice beat. I really like this track. It's really, really good. I think you did a great job with having all the instruments that you're using. I mean, you're just using a lot of stuff there, and it works, and everything works. It's just, I think, again, it's a lot of things, a lot of times I get a beat where it's a good beat, but there's something like the mix that's off, for example. So in your case, like I said, the beat is really, really good. I think it's just the mix. I mean, first of all, you have the drums, which it's the timing or the swing or whatever. It's off. It just seems off, And there was a member of IllMuzik years ago where he was like the exact same thing, like where he had these really good beats, but it was just the timing of his drums. I don't know. It was just like a bit of lag here and there and stuff. So yeah, it's hard for me to tell because I'm just listening to your beat, so I don't know what you're using or whatever. I mean, some people might be banging the drums out themselves. Or, maybe they're just not quantizing or whatever. So maybe that's something you need to check is just, tighten up the drums. Make sure the timing is much better. And the other thing too was because like I was saying, the mix, like you have that synth in the background. It's very nice. It's just that I don't hear enough of it. I wanted to hear more of that because it just sounds like it's just chilling in the back, where it just sounds like it should be in the front though. So bring that to the front and tighten up those drums, and everything else was really good. I really like it. So good job on that. But like I said, I think you just need to tighten things up, and with that you'll have a really, really good beat. All right. Okay. So next up we got Freshy Beats with Monster. Let's check it out. right. Okay, so that was Freshy Beats with Monster. Okay, so this beat, it's kind of like the previous one in a way, where it sounds like a solid beat. It's just you have a few things that need to be adjusted. So, for example, your overall mix, you have that sound to the left, those little sounds to the left, which, don't necessarily need to be panned to the left. I mean, some people, they think when they're mixing, they need to pan everything, and you don't really have to all the time. I mean, it's good practice to do it anyway, but, sometimes it just depends on the beat, it depends on what you're feeling. It depends where you're going with this beat, so in this case for you, I don't really think it needs to be panned too much, like it's a little too much to the left. And so I would, maybe bring it a little more to the center or whatever. And it needs to just sit in the mix better, because I find it's just like it doesn't sound like the sound of that instrument doesn't sound like the rest of the instruments. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's a problem with a lot of people, is that they have sounds that, obviously you're getting samples or sounds from different places. So, it's hard to really get everything to sound like in the same spectrum. You know what I mean? So, that's where effects come in. You got to play with some effects and try to get as close as possible as you can, and work on that. For your drums, the kick is good because your bass is very heavy. So, for me, the bass is a little heavy for my liking, but I know what you're doing with this, so it's good. It's good for this type of beat. So it's good what you did with the kick, because it's not overwhelming, right? Because that bass is so heavy. But the snare, that's the main thing that bothered me, was that snare, because it's just like, it just sounds like a splat, just hit me, just like splat. So, but anyway, you could keep that, but I would recommend you put an actual, good snare on top of that, and layer the two together. And the main thing is, I would say, put some reverb on that snare, because this is the type of beat where it's just like it's like an atmospheric beat. Let's say, it's all about the atmosphere of this beat, right? You want to fill out all the space, because you got a lot of space to play with this. So I would say, put some reverb, and I think it would really sound nice on the snare with this beat. I think it would really come in nice if you did that. So work on those few things, man, because I do like it. It's some good shit. All right, so next up we got Luther with The Soul Child. Let's check it out. Right. Okay, so that was Luther with The Soul Child. Okay, so this beat, this is what's really interesting, because this is one of those beats where it's it keeps me listening, right? It makes me anticipate what's coming next, because that's the thing with a lot of people, right? They're just making beats, You're just making a beat, you know, and that's fine or whatever. But really, I mean, when you make a beat, you want to make something that the people are going to actually want to listen to, and they're going to want to listen to over and over again. And not just that, they want it when you're listening to the beat. You want them to anticipate what's coming next. You want them to be wanting, you know, something to come in. You know, they should be anticipating something. So with this beat, it does that. It's very, very good. I love the smoothness you got in there, the smooth keys you got in the back, that synth or whatever. That's the main point of this beat. So it's good that you focused on that, because that was really, really nice. And I like the way you panned everything. It sounds really, really good. The main thing was two things. Was drums and the bass. Because the bass, it's good that you didn't use it all the way throughout, that you only used it pretty much on the hook, because it's very, very heavy. So, you know, I get that. You know, I mean, I used to use a lot of sub bass, and, you know, I didn't realize how overwhelming it is, how heavy it is, but it really is, you know. So in your case, I would tone that down, or even just replace the bass completely with something else, because that is pretty heavy, you know. So and then for the kick and the snare, the kick, it's a great kick. It's just that it's too I don't know, just kind of like just too loud, let's say, because every time it thumps, I can hear it. It's like it's, you know, reverberating, let's say. So I would say ease up on the kick a bit. And the snare, it's too bad, man, because, you know, it's just, like I said, it's such a nice melody you have. It's too bad you're using those drums. If you get a different drum set to use in this, it would sound so much better. Trust me. I mean, that snare, it's not really for this beat, you know. You could use it and layer with another snare, but I would recommend just getting a different type of snare altogether. It doesn't have to be a loud smacking snare, but just something different, because this one just sounds flat, you know, whereas the rest of the beat is very smooth. So I like that. But just change the drums, man. Change the kick and the snare. Change that shit, and then for the bass, like I said, ease up on that or change it out altogether, because the main point of this beat is that melody. It's just so nice. So, but yeah, change those things, and that'll be even better. All right, so next up we got Rodas with the Trinity. Let's check it out. All right. Okay, so that was Rodas with the Trinity. So this beat I like. It's good because you've got that choir, okay, and of course that's the main part of your beat here that you're trying to focus on. And you know, it's a very good choir sample. It's just that it's the way it's been used, the way you're chopping it, you know, because the chops are okay, but I can hear the chops, you know, and I can hear where it's ending abruptly or coming in abruptly. So in that case, you need to have some kind of reverb on that, especially something with a long tail at the end. That way you can, just reverb it out, right? So it extends it out, or even just a short delay on the end, just on the end though, because that way it just, stretches out that sample. It sounds nice and smooth at the end, let's say. So it's not just, cutting off abruptly. But even in when it comes in, I can hear it, coming in and stuff. So you got to work on those chops to make them sound a little smoother and stuff, And even though it's the main part of your beat, I would say just bring the volume down a bit of the choir because it's a little too loud. But it does sound very, very nice. I like it, So the drums are fine. They follow the choir. That's good. And the main thing that I wanted to let you know was about the bass line, because the bass line's good. It's it's subtle, it's there, it's in the background. But from my experience, really, I just wish more and more hip hop producers would experiment with the bass line, because it makes a huge difference. It really does. It's something I've been working on a lot, and I find it makes a major difference when you're doing a beat. Sometimes I have a beat where I think it sounds really, really good, but then when I add the bass, it just makes it a million times better. So in your case, you're following that choir, that's fine. But in between those bass notes you have, don't be afraid to add some other bass notes, where pitches up a bit and bring it down, that kind of thing. So just fill in that space. You don't have to fill in all the space. You can leave some space open or whatever. But I do recommend, especially for bass line, don't be afraid to just make a bass line, man. Just make something nice and just fill in some extra notes. And it'll make a big, big difference, because it'll just carry the beat better, I find. It's just, instead of just having your kick and snare and hat, and then, your sample, let's say, you have a bass line, it's also like carrying like the groove, let's say. So that's why it's very, very important for the bass. So just work on those things, man, because this is a very, very good beat. Because of the sample, you have a very good opportunity to make this an excellent beat. So. All right, so next up we've got Spuntastic with Choleric People. Let's check it out.
I'm going to fuck you. I'm going to come down to the dealership and I'm going to fuck you in the ass. You understand? I'm going to come down there, I'm going to rip your cock off. I'm going to shove it right up. No, you know what? I'm going to tear the cock off of that giant purple gorilla and shove that up your ass.
What?
It's an inanimate fucking object.
You're an inanimate fucking object!
I'm going to fuck you.
All right. Okay, so that was Spuntastic with Choleric People.
Come down there, man. Rip your cock off.
Now this one, first of all, that intro, man. I mean, I don't know if that's directed at me. I hope not. I mean, what the hell? Anyway, but I won't get into that shit. But no, anyway, this is a nice beat. I really like this. It sounds really, really good. There's a couple of things like the bass. It's a good bass, just a little too heavy on the low end part, but that's not a big deal. And I understand it's like, you know, it's like a jazz bass, so of course it's gonna do that or whatever. Then you have the hat, pan to the left. That's the main thing that really bothered me. So I understand, like, the hat doesn't always have to be, straight across or down the middle or whatever. But I was thinking, how would this hat sound if it was pan stereo, if you had the left and the right, or just center, whatever. But I mean, I know in jazz, in jazz music, they tend to do stuff like that. You'll hear like just the drums on the left, let's say, or whatever. So I mean, that's fine or whatever. But I think it depends on the context, right? It depends on the type of beat it is. So in this case, it could work, but I don't know. It just doesn't sound good to me, to have it pan left and all that stuff. So I'd like to hear the beat with the hat not pan left, put a dead center or whatever. But that's really the only thing, really, because the rest of the beat sounds really, really good. I mean, at first I wasn't too sure because the melody you have, it's like, okay, it's a little, it's a little just whatever, just a regular melody or something like that. But then when you brought the strings in, that's what made a big difference, man. Those strings sound so nice with the rest of the beat, so I have nothing to complain about with those strings. They're very, very well used in that beat. And like I said, then you come back to the regular part of the beat, the regular melody, so it works. It's a really, really good beat, and I could easily hear somebody, spitting on top of this, definitely. I don't know if you're using it for an MC right now, but definitely this is something I can hear with an MC on top. So it's a great beat. Really like it. Good job. All right, so that's it for me. I'm Mr. Fade. This is Attack of the Beats, and keep sending in those beats. I'll keep reviewing them. And that's it. My favorite beat this week. Winner is, drum roll please, Spuntastic with Choleric People. Let's check it out.
I'm going to fuck you. I'm going to come down to the dealership and I'm going to fuck you in the ass. You understand? I'm going to come down there. I'm going to rip your cock off. I'm going to shove it right up. No, you know what? I'm going to tear the cock off of that giant purple gorilla and shove that up your ass.
Harry,
What?
it's an inanimate fucking object.
You're an inanimate fucking object!